The BMW M3 is a terrific performance car and it's got an amazing heritage, and that is exactly what we're exploring today. We're going back more than 20 years to compare two very different BMW M3s. Straight away, you know you're driving an older car. It's a lot smaller for starters, part of which helps with its weight. It's actually about 100 kilos lighter than the new car. The E36 makes 217 kilowatts and 320 newton meters, and it's mated to a 5-speed manual gearbox. But what you quickly realise with this engine is that it's all about revs. And it loves it. It doesn't have anything like the mid-range pull of a modern turbocharged car. But what it does have is a willingness to rev that few cars can come close to. This is a glorious engine. The steering doesn't have anything like the sharpness of a new sports car, but it's got a wonderful fluidity to it, so you can feel what's going on. Hydraulic steering, obviously, rather than the newfangled electronic setups, and there's a beauty to it that is just fantastic in a car like this. There's a certain lovable simplicity to this car. It's just got the basics right, absolutely nailed them. Doesn't have any of the icing on the top, but you don't need it. Stepping into this car, you realise instantly just how much the character's changed. Obviously the presentation is a lot more modern and a lot more upmarket, and it feels cleaner and neater. But even then, some of the things remain. The things like the font that's used in the Speedo and the Taco, for example, very similar. And obviously the colours, the blues and reds to represent that BMW M Sport. The second you pull away, you can feel that it's a far more substantial car. It's heavier for starters, so you got a lot more weight going on, you got a lot more size going on. So instead of that shriek and crescendo of revs that you get in the old girl, this one's more boom, more meatiness, and a lot more thrust. The F80 competition makes 331 kilowatts and 550 newton meters, and it's teamed with a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. It's that torque in particular that you really notice. You step on the throttle and it's instantly sending your head back. You've still got that rush of revs if you want it. What you tend to find in this car is you just don't need to push the engine to the top end of its rev range. There's so much muscle elsewhere, you end up using that. And of course, this new car is loaded with electronics. There's things that weren't even dreamt of at the time that E36 was developed. Stability control's the main one, and it's very finely tuned in this car. It can make you look like a hero sometimes, and it's good to have that backup when you need it. But sometimes though, those electronics dull things down a little bit. Instead of having that real vibrancy to things like the steering, it's just got a few extra layers there, a bit of dullness to it. And while this new M3 is among the best cars out there for feedback and driver feel, it's still not a patch on that old car. The steering, for example, it just doesn't have that real alacrity, that absolutely nailed to the road feel that you get in the old car. I've been lucky enough to drive dozens of M3s over the past 20 years or so. There's no doubt the latest car is a huge step up when it comes to pace. It is blisteringly quick. But in some ways, there's more to love with the E36, at least when it comes to the connection between the car and the driver. There's a certain rawness and simplicity that perfectly encapsulates the whole M-car mantra. It presses all the right buttons and it's still quick. It is bags of fun, albeit slower than the latest and greatest.